Are you a Catholic? Trying to make sense of COVID-19, the MCO, and how all this is impacting our faith, and now needing to celebrate Holy Week and Easter online. Well, if that's you, then welcome to the show because that's what we're going to be talking about. Now, the show, we don't have a title as yet. It's Catholics at Home, Quarantine Catholics, two guys and a priest. Well, if you have better suggestions, we'll give you a link later to help us title this show. But who are the we that's going to talk about all this? First of all, some introductions. My name is Kachang Kevin. Fellow parishioner Mark Lee is on the line. Mark, say hello.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all.
And our special guest for today, and hopefully many, many more episodes to come, he's a familiar face, diocesan priest with the Archdiocese of Kuala Lumpur. Hello, Fr Clarence Devadass.
Hi, Kevin.
How are you, Father?
Hi, Mark. I'm very well, Mark. Given the situation, given the quarantine or, confined to small places, keeping well. Trying to keep my spirits up.
All right. Now, just before we start our conversation, let me just tell for those viewing this show, this recording, what happened is Mark and I, we're discussing with Fr Clarence about how we can engage with the priest and the lay people of the Catholic faith and just talk about issues that's concerning us, daily issues, daily lives. And we thought we wanted to do a podcast. Now, so we've been planning about a podcast for a long time now, but we just haven't got around to it. And with the MCO, all of us stuck at home, we said, hey, why not let's do a Zoom chat? Because everybody is doing Zoom chats, Google Hangouts with their family, with their BEC. Even they're doing rosaries on Zoom chats now. I believe I've heard a couple of BCs doing that. So we're going to just do a casual conversation about our Catholic faith. And hopefully in the episodes to come, we can do a live show where you can join us too and give us your comments and feedback, right? Is that right, Father and Mark?
Yep, that's right, Kevin.
Definitely.
All right. So now with this MCO, we're all stuck at home. Now, I know Mark here from Kota Kemuning. Father, we know most of the priests live in the compounds of their parishes. For you, Father, where is home?
Well, many people actually asked me, they thought that, since I don't particularly live in a parish, I live at the Archdiocesan Pastoral Center, which is just about, behind St. Anthony's Church. So I've been confined to my own home in the Pastoral Center. So most priests, in fact, all priests are residing in their own parishes. Even though there are no public masses, even though people are not allowed to come to the church, the priests are still in the churches, still being available, especially for emergencies. I believe most churches have put out an emergency number if people needed to contact the church. And so priests are still in their parishes available to attend to all these special and circumstances, emergency needs. So to answer your question, we are all in our parishes.
Right. And I guess I'm just wondering, how has this MCO impacted your daily life? I mean, what's the day in the life of Fr Clarence and then now with the MCO? Is it very much different?
Very, very different, Kevin. I mean, this is not something that we all are quite used to. I remember saying this to my parishioners. The closest I ever got to this was when I had to do my 30-day retreat just before my ordination. Even then, during the retreat, you're allowed to walk out, though you don't talk to each other except once a day you see a retreat master, but we're still allowed to walk out, we're just allowed to take, to go out and do other things. But this is very different, and I don't think the word that everybody is using is unprecedented. It's unprecedented for everybody, including priests. So what's my day like? So I have to think of things to do every day, apart from doing some office work. I'm quite lucky in the sense that my office and my room is very close by. It's just on the same floor. It's about just 25 steps away. So every morning I come into the office to go through some emails, to see what needs to be answered, to do some reading also. I'm writing 1 or 2 articles which are due soon. So I'm trying to keep up with that also. But apart from the other things, I think, life goes on. I mean, one important thing is we need to look for our food also. So, so cooking has become part of my daily routine. well, I always say, there are two things, you either cook or you survive. But I fall in the category of survival. So Boy Scout skills, simple things, heating up food, I always thought, why did I have to spend so many years in Rome before? But now I realize it has taught me to make pasta. So pasta is like my staple food very often. So apart from that, resting, reading, I've been catching up with some movies also I've not seen. Just managed to watch the latest episode of Star Wars. I mean, I've been putting that off for a while. So got to watch, I think it's The Rise of Skywalker, right? That's the latest one, if I remember. Yeah. So got to do that. And then exercise, regular exercise, just to keep the body healthy, keep the mind sane also. So this is what I've been doing in the last couple of days. Like today, I mean, I planned out to clean my house. So mopping, washing the bathroom. So regular things that I've not been doing. Now I have to do these things during the MCO.
Not bad, Father. So, Father, how about Mass, Father? Do you say Mass often?
Yeah, I say Mass every day, Mark. So that because where I live, there's a chapel. So I'm by myself. We priests have been asked also, because most parishes have got masses that have been offered, have been lined up. People have made mass offerings. So even though we're not saying it publicly, for all the intentions that have been offered, we are doing it privately in the confines of our own space. We are offering the masses for the intentions of the people. And also, we are actually praying very hard for the situation that we are in, that this will pass soon. So we do, yes. We still offer masses for the intentions of the people.
So Father, I mean, it's awesome to see that the church and all, we have this. I think we were one of the first to actually react towards COVID in terms of closing down of masses. I mean, showing masses online live and all, and restricted people from going to church. I think it's awesome. So I think how are priests coping with that, Father? I mean, looking at it today, I mean, because a lot of y'all, I believe you all have it's said in CDM, correct? The masses, yeah. So
yes.
I mean, so all of y'all are scheduled, and yeah. How is it like? How is your planning?
Yeah. So for us, it's quite different, Mark. It's very different because you're used to saying mass with the people, unless when you're traveling or when you are elsewhere, you celebrate mass on your own. But saying mass in front of a camera is a new experience. It's sometimes for me, I can't speak for the other priests. Sometimes when there is a community, it animates me. It helps me to celebrate the mass better, I believe. So it's a new experience. Like even this, being on Zoom, it's a new experience. This past week, I've been having so many meetings with my BEC leaders, with my pastoral council people, with my finance committee, having Zoom meetings. So it's a new experience having to do that. But I believe that this is something that is much needed. And if we have been talking about it before, now we are pushed into it. So it has come to a situation where we have to do this and look at greater possibilities after this, to be able to engage with people with technology. I think, we have been quite slow in embracing technology, but I'm not wanting to say that COVID has brought about this, but, the whole world is now on this different learning platforms, different communication platforms. I guess this is our future, and we need to find ways to navigate. This is something very new, I think, for me and for many of our priests. We're all trying different things, how to keep in touch with our parishioners. Just last week, I also organized a rosary with my parishioners. So all this is very new. I guess as we go along, we will have greater clarity as to what we would like to do.
Yeah, I think that's great. With this thing coming into place now, BECs, like I said, they're also being more active and getting on Zoom and meeting up. And sometimes I don't know if there's more people meeting up on Zoom now compared to the regular BEC Wednesdays that we meet. So, and yeah, but for Mark, maybe Mark, you can share as a family man. You've got two young boys, right? Lovely wife. How old are your boys again? 9 and 6,
7.
I believe. 9 and 7. How is it different for you? I mean, with the kids around and stuff, do they ask you about things like, why aren't we going to church and stuff?
I mean, I think one thing good for me is that, I mean, I look at it as there are a lot of things, because I mean, I run a business also. So if you see, I think we have to adapt in terms of how do we work at home. But at the same time also, how do we juggle work and family this time is like just close around you, you know what I mean? In the same house. So kids being kids, they'll jump around, they'll make noise and stuff like that. But I think for us, we get to plan to do activities together lah. So for example, I think a few things we're doing now, like we try to encourage them to cook together. So we instead of just sharing a meal, but we try to cook together. And then another thing we try to do more is like every day we do the rosary. But the rosary this time around, like what Father mentioned, we try to do it with our extended family through Zoom. But it's actually quite hard to do it, you know, because the delay in lag time. So someone will say the response for the Hail Mary, someone will start 2 seconds later, another person will be slower in responding. So, I mean, it's a test also because you have to try to concentrate. But then it's good because kids get to also use technology to actually pray and all with a bigger group of people. But I think this has brought our family closer, lah, you know what I mean, as an overall experience. How about you, Kevin?
Yeah. Well, of course, this is like Father said, it's a very new experience, and just even like attending mass online. I remember someone in my Facebook group said, sometimes I have to remind myself that I'm participating and not watching. Right? I mean, in church we know we are participating, we're kneeling, we're standing, and we're engaged, and we're saying the responsive psalm. But at home, we can suddenly fall into a space where we're just watching TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very different and it's difficult. And I'm just wondering, do people really dress up at home for online masses as they do when they go
That's a
to
good
church?
question. I wanted to ask that to Father also. So Father, do we need to dress up, Father?
I've seen pictures on Facebook, people in their shorts, in their their house clothes, and somebody posted the question to me, do we need to dress up, or can we just sit in our couches? And I've been trying to say, try to recreate the environment to the best of your ability. Of course, it's going to be very artificial, asking people to dress up as how they would go to church on a Sunday at home. But I've been encouraging people who have been asking me, at least the postures, when it's time to stand, why don't you stand? When it's time to kneel, why don't you kneel? When it's time to sit, you sit. So, don't just don't be a couch potato and sit and just, because when you sit and you watch, it just recreates the experience of watching a movie.
Yeah.
That's what you do. So you're just sitting and looking at the screen. So have your missals with you, have your Bibles with you, to follow the readings. So we're trying as much as possible to encourage people to try to recreate the environment. Turn off your phones, turn off other devices. Try to put yourself. I said to people, you can light up your altar, make a simple altar for yourself. Put candles. So you try to recreate the whole atmosphere. Of course, it's not a perfect situation, but we try our best to recreate that, to remind us that now this is a holy time. We are in a sacred time now, and we want to be there. Yeah. So you ask me the question, do I need to dress up? Well, it's a very, if you would like to dress up, yeah, why not? But I would say that create the atmosphere of being in the presence of God. And I think how that works for you, each one will have to find their way during this time.
Yeah, and don't be late for mass. I mean, can you be late when you're at home?
So Father, I have another question.
There's no excuse for being late this time.
So Father, I have another question. I mean, because today, what if you don't watch it live? You watch a playback. Does it still consider that you're participating in the mass?
Now, of course, I mean, ideally would be to be present live, because you make that time as much as you go to church. Like you make time to go to church. You make time to be present at mass, and I think that is what everyone would be encouraged to do. But sometimes there are situations where people having to care for so many people at home, it doesn't work always, to our benefit. So, so recreate that space, maybe later in the evening, recreate that space of connecting with God. And I think that's the most important thing. It's not the question of whether live, whether it's recorded, but it's important about creating space and allowing that time to be with a community, to be able to celebrate the Eucharist together. So ideally, if you ask me, yes, I would say ideally, let's try and follow it live. And there is a purpose why we are doing live streaming and not just recording it and uploading it onto our servers, and people can watch at any time. So there is a particular purpose why we are doing, so that we all can be united. We all can be united, even though not in our respective parishes, but even when we are at our homes, we are one church. And I think this is a nice sign, a nice symbol. Of course, embracing technology to show that we are one church. We are all united, though we are different people, different locations, but it is our faith that unites us.
Yeah, it reminds me of
But talking about coming late to mass, I must say that I used to know Mark as a little boy when he was in Assumption Church, and very often he used to come late for mass. And now that's the question that he's asking me. Interestingly,
Father,
I hope you're not late for mass now.
that was the 6:30 a.m. mass I used to serve. Okay? No service at that time, so I was to fill in.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Father, for all the suggestions that you've given us. I'm sure those watching will be taking note and for future masses. And of course, coming up to Holy Week, can't imagine we are just less than 2 weeks away from Easter, yeah? But if
That's right.
can I just shift the conversation a little bit right now? Because there've been some messages going around WhatsApp and all that, and people trying to say that, hey, this thing is not from God and this, and trying to immerse spirituality into the COVID-19. How do we view that, Father? How do we view what's happening? How do you view it in a positive light when you've got something so tragic, so terrible? At the same time, we wonder why God is allowing this to happen. Can you say something about that?
Yeah, this question about why God allows it, or is this a message from God? I would always say, it's a question that will not have a satisfactory answer for anyone. And it's pointless to go in that direction also, I believe. I think what is important for us is, whatever's happening, to learn from it, perhaps, yes, I believe every situation, whether good or bad, there is a message for humanity. Not just in bad situations, but also in good situations that God can speak to us. And for us is to learn from this, and to come out better, to come out stronger, not just in our faith, but just as a human race, to be able to come out of this as better people. It's very hard to say that God is doing this, because how do you reconcile the fact that there's so many people who are dying? How do you tell families who are seeing their loved ones die right before their eyes? And what is even worse is that they are so helpless. They're unable to do anything. Limited resources, and don't know what to do. No cure. Can we say this is from God? I don't think our God. I believe our God is not a punishing God, not in this way at least. But there is a reason why all this happens in the world, and something that we need to reflect, to go into ourselves and see. Perhaps there is a message not just for humanity, but for each person, for every individual. We need to reflect, see, how can we come out of this better, stronger, and for the human race to be able to offer something more positive. And I think this is something that we all need to learn. This is something that we all need to come out of the situation. There's so much of negativity out there. There's so much of, finger pointing at this people, that people. But I think this is not the time. This is the time where humanity needs to come together. We need to hold hands together and to see how we can come out of this better and stronger.
So, Father, agree with you on that, and just wondering. So, as us staying at home, there's not much we can do. So, maybe as Catholics, what are the few things you think we can actually do at home? Besides praying,
I think there are a lot of things that we can do. In this situation, it is not just the elderly who are afflicted, by this coronavirus. I think there are a lot of people whose livelihoods have been affected, and there are so many organizations out there who are trying to reach out. I know there are many of us who are afraid to go out to reach out to others, but there are those who are, who are really braving the situation, going out to help, and maybe we can support them in some way, either financially. We can also support them spiritually, of course, to help others. So we are, in our churches, I think many of our churches have set up kind of a systems to help the poor. to help, especially the migrant workers who are daily wage earners who are really affected by this situation. I've been getting so many calls from different people, just yesterday to share an experience. I had a call from a community of migrants who shared that, they have no food, they have no rice to eat, and literally in tears. So I try to mobilize some people, even though I'm so far away and then, not accessible, I can't go there, try to network with people and try to get them some food at least. And I think this is something that we really could do as Christians, and not just as Christians, as people, a part of a human race. I think we can reach out to one another more than just praying during this situation.
Yeah. I think
I think one of the struggles for Catholics is because, especially during Lent, we are more charitable and we do more stuff for the marginalized and the poor and stuff like that. But now with social distancing, we can't do that. We probably had a lot of plans during Lent, but we can't do that. And we know why social distancing is important. But at the same time, I think there's an internal struggle to, I want to do, but I cannot do. And, I'm sure there's a lot of people feeling like that. And, we heard about the NGOs trying to help, but then government says, no, the proper channels should be to give to whoever and stuff like that. So there's a lot of concern about that as well. And I think internally, people are having that struggle within them to figure out how can they do it.
I think Kevin, if I'm not mistaken, like Thomas More, the BECs and all are now looking for people in. I mean, they've asked the BECs to actually look around in terms of families in need, in terms of for food or funding or whatever, not who have been impacted by this. And I think Assumption is also embarking on the route whereby they are enabling VCs to actually find these people and try to help. But I think personally, I feel that while waiting for that, I feel like I want to contribute something, either financially or efforts we can do online to actually share or share to other people in terms of what they can do. You know what I mean? And I think that for example is quite lacking, because for example, I think there are a lot of people today out there who, maybe they don't mind donating, but we do not know who to donate to or how to do it. So I think maybe there's an opportunity for maybe hopefully we can do something.
Just to share something small. I think it's a small example that I've done for myself, because these communities are reaching out to me. I started something called a virtual warehouse, and I just reached out to friends. I said, I've started a virtual warehouse. Just put in the warehouse, whatever you can support with, whatever needs you can support daily sustenance. So it's quite good. People have just been putting in bags of rice, bihun, dry food, canned food. And as and when the need comes, I know I have this virtual warehouse where I can go to and start trying to get people to send these things, whoever is the nearest to send, and people are supporting that way. So that is a small thing that I have started on my own, reaching out to friends. I call it the virtual warehouse.
Very nice name, Father. Not bad, huh?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Actually, I think we should recommend this to our VCs or whoever who we can also do something like that. And I think also something as simple as nowadays when you go and get your groceries at like Jai Grocer or whatever, you have to queue up for a very long time and all that. And I think sometimes we can just let our neighbors know or just message in WhatsApp and say, hey, I'm here. I can't do your shopping for you, but if there's that one or two, a couple of things that you really need that you're short of, maybe I can put it in my cart and later I'll drop it off at your house. Maybe something like that.
Yeah,
I think the other day I was just.
Yeah, I think at this time also, what's interesting is that I think for the first time you get to meet a lot of your neighbors. You know what I mean? A lot of times,
that's true. That's true.
Home, we go to the office, we come back. We don't know. Now at least, with social distancing, you're right, Kevin. In our area, there people are messaging each other. Hey, I'm going to buy this, or can I help you buy and stuff like that. So you get to interact with your neighbors, and I think the social distancing is bringing people together in some sort of a way, lah. I think we have another 3 minutes before the.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, okay. I think maybe we wrap up this first episode. There's sure more episodes to come. So, whoever's watching this, stay tuned. Whoever you're watching this, we will send out the video through WhatsApp and all that. If you don't mind, Mark, could I just share where they can also get in touch with us? For now, You can get in touch with us on our Facebook page. It's at Redeemed for Worship, facebook.com/redeem for worship. You can also send us your comments, send us your ideas, topics, what you want us to talk about. And, we can get this going for the next episode. We don't know when that's going to be, but I'm sure let's plan something. Mark and Father will get more people to join us, more priests, in fact, to join us.
Yeah.
And let's see how it goes.
Yeah.